So anti-ICE protesters in Los Angeles destroying cars and businesses and attacking police and burning American flags while waving other countries' flags. And DHS is calling out California's leaders on X, saying, quote, California's politicians must call off their rioting mob. Federal law enforcement are working to protect and safeguard American citizens from criminal illegal aliens. Why is California's governor siding with foreign criminals? Here to react is New York Post columnist and Fox News contributor Miranda Devine. Why are they? This is a losing issue. Over 50% of the American public believe that we should get rid of the criminals in our country that are already here illegally.
So, Lawrence, it really is baffling on its surface because, as you say, I mean, polls consistently show that Americans are in favour of deporting illegal alien criminals. The last one I saw was over 75%.
Yeah.
And I would say that the optics of these anarchists flying foreign flags while they loot and burn and attack American law enforcement is so awful that those numbers are probably way up to 100% now. But all I can think is that Democrats figured this worked for them in 2020, the summer of love, so-called, when all the riots spread across the country. And so they have nothing else to attack Donald Trump on. He's riding high in the polls. He's changing everything. He's winning. And they just want to sow chaos and distract him, I guess, to make sure that they at least have something to sell to their constituency. And remember, their constituency is illegal aliens.
Yeah, but Miranda, the country is sick of it. They're sick of it because the Trump administration has done a great job with showing us who the people are. Just take a look at the big wall. You got a Mexican citizen who is accused of child molestation. You got a Nicaraguan domestic violence and a hit and run, willful cruelty against a child. A Mexican citizen who is wanted for vehicular manslaughter. You got a Russian citizen, EBT, for, I mean, these people should not be in the country.
It really is amazing that this is the ditch that Democrats have chosen to die on. These are the worst of the worst. As President Trump keeps saying, these countries in the third world have just opened up their prisons. They're not sending their best, they're sending their worst. And the cartels during the Biden administration, they controlled the border. And so they were trafficking the worst kind of people, gangbangers, the gotaways, the ones that never approached Border Patrol. They're the really scary ones. We also know that there were thousands of suspected terrorists, people aligned to Al-Qaeda and ISIS, who were plus Chinese nationals. What could they want in our country? Iranians? I mean, the citizens of our adversaries, we don't know how many spies or terrorists there are. And I think that this is why, and Donald Trump thinks this too, this is why he won the last election. The main reason was the border. No country feels safe if they don't have control of their own border. And, you will find legal immigrants are the most savvy on this because they are the ones whose communities are being invaded and who are being stood over and extorted by these cartel gangsters.
It's incredible. Miranda, you were talking about the president and his signature legislation as well. Tell us about the podcast today. You're going to be interviewing the President of the United States. This is a new podcast, Pod Force One.
Yes, thank you so much, Lawrence. It launches tomorrow morning with the first guest being the President, Donald Trump, and he was kind enough to give me an interview last night, actually, at the White House.
Wow.
And, it's quite revealing about some of his childhood experiences, the fact that he was tested. He had aptitude testing when he was a child because his parents were worried that he was so rambunctious. The results came back, Donald Trump said, not to his father's liking, because it turns out that Donald Trump is a literal musical genius. He can pick notes and remember them for an hour and be able to regurgitate them back. So, and that explains why he's just so interested in the music. He chooses every song for his rallies. If you go to one of his properties, he has an iPad out and he's playing DJ. He loves Elton John. He loves the Cats and all the Broadway musicals. And look, he also spoke about serious things. He did open up the door to reconciling with Elon Musk at some point in the future. He's not opposed to that, but he said he's too busy at the moment trying to end 2 world wars, dealing with riots in LA and bringing the economy back. He's very bullish on the economy.
We cannot wait to. That sounds like a wide range in the interview. You can listen to Podforce 1 on nypost.com or on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Miranda, congratulations. I can't wait to listen.
Thanks so much, Lawrence.
You got it.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.